Anything in our lives that is important and matters and brings us satisfaction is difficult. If I got it easy, is this good for me? So when I hear a no, I go, okay. The positive thing about that is that I know what avenue I'm not going to go down to get where I need to go. So wherever you have to draw from to like move forward, draw from it. It's about taking responsibility for how we feel about ourselves.
Hello, my name is Jannel Rapp. Welcome to America Lost and Found. America Lost and Found is about learning how to live in the found energy, even while something is still missing, challenging, or out of reach. How to focus forward without bypassing pain or the lessons pain gives us. Our guests have learned to use loss to rise above circumstances and have found new ways of seeing. Our guest today is an old friend. When I first met him, he was doing mortgages and he was a tech guy. Things tech I don't understand, but he somehow made a living doing that. Xavier Ortiz now is a writer, producer, and director known for character-driven stories with emotional depth, drawing from personal and cultural experience. His screenplay, Hurricane Seasons, advanced to the 2021 Academy Nicole Fellowship. Did I pronounce Nicole right?
It's Nichols.
It's Nichols?
Yeah, Nichols. Like
with an S?
It's nickel, sorry. But
nickel.
Yeah, it's pronounced like the coin.
Okay. 2021 Academy Nicole Fellowship quarterfinals and was completed as a feature film in December 2025, while his commissioned script, The Diggers of Veracruz, reached the 2022 Nicole semifinals. His Oscar-qualified short film, Marisol, earned multiple festival awards, and his work reflects the perspective of growing up between Brooklyn and Puerto Rico. Please welcome Xavier Ortiz.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Wow, I just want to call you Javi. Is that okay?
That's
or do I have to call you call you X? Or
no. Javi's
Javi's good?
Yeah, Javi's good.
Javi's good.
Yeah.
So, Javi, when I met you way back, what was it, like 2008, 2009, something?
Almost 20 years now.
Yeah. I wouldn't have imagined you're where you are. I wouldn't have imagined that you would take these kind of chances, that you would turn your life inside out and upside down to do what you're doing. But I'm so impressed and so happy and so proud. And
thank you.
You have the heart of an artist. And the reason I wanted you on here is because sometimes when people are looking at us from the outside, they think, oh, that person had all this advantage. It was easy for them to get there. Or, they have things that I don't have. They have skills that I don't have. They have this or that. And I think explaining some of the processes and how we get through the difficulties and how we climb over them sometimes or break through them or, swim around them, whatever we have to do. I think that's important for others to hear, that we don't just... I wasn't just born and life's easy. So how did you start this film process? I seriously never would have thought this is the Javi I'd be talking to 20 years later.
Well, how did I start the film stuff? I've always liked to read and to write. Since I was a kid, that was like a passion of mine. And I think in the environment that I grew up in, you're not supposed to want to grow up to be those things, right? Like you're supposed to grow up and be a doctor, be a lawyer, some kind of professional. If you go to college, is to get a job that's going to steer you in that direction. If I had told my mom when I was 15 that I wanted to go to film school, or my family, they would have thought I was crazy. But I started doing it just as a dare. Like there was at the time it was the Screenwriting Expo screenplay contest, and I was like, I think the prize was like $10,000, and I was like, you know what? I have ideas. I love movies. Like, why don't I just write something?
What year was that?
This was the first script that I wrote was 2007, and then I entered it into the contest in 2010. So I placed in the Screenwriting Expo contest the next year, 2011.
So I had already met you when you were working on this stuff?
Yeah, you had already met me.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
You were so secretive.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was embarrassed to say that I was working on a screenplay. You know? That was like that was something that's kind of, yeah, especially if you live in LA, like everybody's working on a screenplay.
Good point.
So yeah, I thought I'd give it a whirl, and it placed. That was the first script I had ever written. It placed. They invited me to the event. I met like producers and all that stuff, and they kind of encouraged me to keep going. And I ended up optioning that script. It was never produced.
What was the name of it?
It was called Escaping Bushwick.
Okay.
It was a story about teenagers who used to write graffiti in the 80s, and they were all artists and stuff like that. And they all get, the main character gets in trouble, but his goal is to escape from his neighborhood and his situation, and he was doing it through the arts.
Nice.
But it was a story that resonated with people, so they invited me to the Screenwriting Expo. Then that same script placed at the Urban World Film Festival in 2012, and they held like a staged reading of it.
Wow.
So that was like the first time that I saw actors act out words that I had written, and that's all it took. Like once you see that, like there's something in your DNA that changes in your heart, and you're like, you just are gonna keep pushing to find that high again.
Wow.
And then I just kept writing. I kept trying to network and connect with people, and then a couple years after that, I connected with the filmmaker Juan Escobedo. You've met.
Yes.
And he had this idea for a story about a young kid from East LA that he kind of heard this story through his like social work, and I wrote it and helped him produce it. He directed, and that one did well. It, in the film festival circuit or whatever, it picked up a couple of awards. Marisol, yeah. And then we screened it in Santa Monica, and so we got it. It qualified for the Oscars. It didn't make it to any of the advanced ballots or anything like that. But the Herrick Library, the Oscars library, requested the script to put it into their collection. So if you go to the Academy Library and you look up Marisol 2016, and you'll find the script there. And so it lives on in posterity.
So that deer turned into a flame inside of you.
Yeah.
And there's no stopping you now. You're just, this is what you do.
No. A lot of people don't like screenwriting. Like writers don't consider themselves writers. They want to be filmmakers. They want to be directors. And I do want all those things too. But writing to me is the place where you get to make the movie that you want. Right? You don't have to worry about budgets. All you need is a laptop with a little piece of software and a pen and paper if you don't have that. But on the page, you create the worlds, you create the characters, you can say the things that you will never say in real life to a person. The deepest thoughts that you have, you can put that on the page. You can imagine George Clooney is playing the parts that you're writing, and if it's in your head, it's okay. You didn't have to pay him. So to me, the writing part of it is amazing. And I, like Lupe will tell you, my wife will tell you, like, there were days where I kind of like go off to write, and I just hit the zone, and I'd be there, on a 6-hour session, and I don't even realize
that all that time
has gone by. And then, everything after that is the difficult stuff. Trying to find money, trying to network with people, trying to find a director, trying to find talent who likes your story and is interested when you don't have any money. Trying to raise the money, that's to me is the toughest part about filmmaking. The writing part, which is the part that I love the most, is I mean, it's not easy. It's a craft that requires skill. It requires time, effort. You don't want to do it poorly. But like spending the time to improve in that craft has been like a joy for me. So I found my legs there.
That's nice. Well, without the story, there is no end product.
Yeah.
So you have to start out with something that has characters that are, you know, endearing or horrible, or, you know, they have the things that draw people to them. And if you don't have that, then you have nothing. It's kind of like in music. If you don't have a great song, then it doesn't matter almost who sings it.
Right.
And then you've got to have great production. You've got all the magic has to come together. And I think that's what you're talking about is once you have the great script, then you have a chance for the magic to come together. Now, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
You have to knock on a lot of doors. So when you're knocking on these doors and you get no's, for example,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel maybe this is a human condition. We get more no's, we have more failures than we have wins.
Absolutely.
And each one of those failures does something for us if our minds are open, you know, to propel us forward. Each no takes us to the next door or the next call
Mm-hmm.
and teaches us, well, maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I need to change how I approach people or whatever it is. So I don't want to say too much. I just want to know, how do you deal with it, not just externally, but internally, and keep going? Like, how do you keep the flame alive, even though there's no?
That's a good question. There, especially in this business, in the music business, you know, no is what you're going to hear the most, because it's a risky bet to put money into a film. Audiences can be fickle, and so no, you're going to hear no a lot. But I think you and I have had conversations about, like, I've really picked up the stoicism and the stoic philosophy.
Yes.
So one of the big things about stoicism is that things should be difficult. The obstacle is the way is that a book that I recommend to a lot of people, that Ryan Holiday book, because it's true. It's like anything in our lives that is important and matters and brings us satisfaction when we see them and we attain them, is difficult. And if it's not difficult, like it almost makes me question, like, wait a minute, is this good for me? If I got it easy, is this good for me? So I try to think about that. I go, so when I hear a no, I go, okay, that the positive thing about that is that I know what avenue I'm not going to go down to get where I need to go or to achieve what I need to achieve. It's not that one. They already told me no. Mm-hmm. So you clear that from your list and you keep working on the rest of it. I would say that's like the when I feel that I'm using the evolved part of my mind, that's how I think. But then sometimes the emotions get the best of you. And when you hear a no, you get angry.
Mm-hmm.
And I always subscribe that, like, whatever pushes you to move forward, if it pushes you in the right direction, in a positive direction, like, use it, right? So sometimes I'll use that. And I'm like, I have a chip on my shoulder, right? Like, when someone tells me, no, you can't do something, I take that and I carry that with me. Joel, my brother Joel and I, we talk about it all the time. We call it a shit list.
And you both do that.
We both
have that method.
We both have that mentality where it's like, oh, you told me no. You said you doubted me. I can't do it. And okay, you go on the list. And then you have this imaginary fantasy in your head that one day when you're on some award stage accepting your reward for all the hard work that you've done, that you're going to go down the list of all the people that wronged you and you're going to tell them off. But that's not true. You're not going to do that.
Right.
But that kind of keeps you motivated too. So wherever you have to draw from to, like, move forward, draw from it. As long as it's taking you to a positive place. If it takes you to, you know, a negative place, or, you know, you're crying in your pillow at night, or you're drinking to ease your pain or anything like that, then that's not good. So you got to try to discard that. But whatever it takes, you know, if it's a chip on your shoulder, if it's a more evolved way of thinking and stoic philosophies, use it. You know, that's what I do.
I love stoicism. I'm so glad you introduced me to that. I'd heard of it before, but didn't really think of looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really helpful. And if you know that it sounds like you're kind of accepting that there's going to be a lot of no's, and that's just part of the process.
Yeah.
And because you're accepting that, they don't probably, it's not as big of a punch. It's more like, yeah, I expect people to say no. I expect these entities that I'm calling, these companies, these whoever, to say no.
Yeah, there is some of that too. But I think overall it's about taking responsibility for how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah.
And like working on the things that we can control, right? Like if someone says no to your idea, that doesn't mean your idea is bad, and it doesn't mean that you didn't do hard work or that you didn't put something together that was good. It just means that for them it's a no. They don't see the vision the way you see the vision, and they don't see how they can exploit this idea to their benefit the way you see it. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Like you're gonna see that. This is a very hard thing to do. And if it were easy, you probably would take it for granted. You wouldn't appreciate it. So like, I mean, you're grateful when you do get a yes. And but the other side of that too is that when you get a yes, it doesn't mean that you've solved the puzzle. Right. It means, okay, a whole other process starts, because nobody's going to care about your story or your project or your mission more than you, even if they say yes. So it just means you start a whole other ordeal, and it's a whole, you still got to carry this up the hill. And now you have baggage. You got to take all these people that said yes, and you got to make them believers, and you got to carry this project all the way through the end.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Carrying all the yes people up.
You got to bring them up the hill, yeah. Because if it fails, right,
they could fall away.
The people that said yes are gonna be like, oh, well, it's not my fault. This guy convinced me, or it was his idea, it wasn't me. So no, you have to carry it forward. In the film stuff, the beautiful part of it is that it was when you find people that are all in the same situation that you're in. Everybody thinks movies is this glamorous, thing, and that there's lots of money, and that's like a very, very small portion of the George Clooney's of the world. That, I mean, they worked hard to get where they are, but that level of success is very, very rare. Most of us are just trying to pay the bills like everybody else. We're scrambling, and once you finish a project, you're back in the poorhouse, right? Like you're trying to find the next story, the next funding source, the next group of collaborators that will collaborate with you. But there is a solidarity between the people who really genuinely care about the craft and are willing to go down these crazy adventures with you. And so, that bond is nice to build. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it sounds like then you end up building a team as you're going through the process. So, but
ideally,
yeah. So the team is, they're like, they become partners. They're not people you have to carry up the hill.
No, they're people who help you carry the load.
Yeah. So they help you carry the yeses.
Yeah, for hurricane season.
The no's you don't have to carry, right?
The no's you can discard them. You
have
to
let them go.
Unless it motivates you, right? Unless it makes you stronger to have that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, but I was thinking of picturing the no's, when you win your award. The no's are sitting in the audience, and they're like, I said no to them. Why did I say no?
That's another thing, right? Like we think in our own little delusions, we think that people are paying attention to us like that, and most people are not. When someone tells you no, they're not rooting for your downfall. They don't want to sign on to this.
Yeah,
and they tell you
they
no.
don't get it in that moment.
Yeah, and if you do succeed, they maybe will have a little tinge of regret, but they're so busy doing other things or pursuing the things that they've said yes to, that they don't have time to think about you. We, in our heads, we do, right? Mm-hmm. We think, oh, he's out to destroy me or whatever, but that's not really what's happening.
Right.
So yeah, in hurricane seasons, which is the film that we just wrapped in Puerto Rico, I was fortunate to connect with a director. Her name's Nicole Gomez Fisher, and a producer, Anthony Faude, and they came on board early. And they championed the project like hard everywhere they went. They pitched, they tried to get talent, and they were like ride or die all the way. And yeah, that's a team that you want to keep working with. So yeah.
And how did you find them?
It's a lot of it. Nicole, I met through another filmmaker friend.
Mm-hmm.
We met up for dinner one time,
Mm-hmm.
and actually that's not true. I had written a script for this gentleman in New York who recently passed away, sadly. And he was looking for a director for his project, and Nicole read the script, and she loved the script, and she couldn't end up working on that project, but she wanted to meet me afterwards. And then through a mutual friend in LA, we were able to meet up for dinner, and then we just hit it off. And I told her, well, we can't do that project because, they're moving on. But I have other ideas. And so I sent her some of my ideas, and she loved, she's like one of my hardest champions. Like she tells everybody, this guy's talented. I'm like, she kind of embarrasses me sometimes when she does that. But, yeah, she signed on, and she was like, okay, I'll help you with this, but I want to direct it. And it's because she's in the same boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had directed 2 other films. One of them was really successful. The second one wasn't so much. And then you kind of get pushed down to the bottom of the pile again, right? Because Hollywood is, what have you done for me lately?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of ignores that, right? That grit that people have, the willingness to just put their head down and do the work. And they just look for whatever is successful, and they try to build on that. So she was kind of at the bottom of the pile again, and so she felt this project could help her. And I was like, well, you help me do it. We'll help you produce it, and we'll get it done. And so now we're in post production, and we feel really good about it, and we hope it opens some doors for everybody.
That's amazing. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness right now, and I feel like that every time I'm around you, and I'm not trying to puff you up. I've had this presence of greatness thing for a while, for maybe 15 years. And what I mean by that is that you meet someone who has really focused on something, who has honed their craft, who has worked on getting to a place, and they're not giving up. And unless you kind of know what it takes to get that, you don't realize that you're in the presence of greatness. And I equate that to, if there's a piece of artwork that you look at and you think it looks like someone just took a paintbrush and did that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you go, yeah, right? But
Right.
you don't know what it took for that person to do that yet,
Right.
Is that skill? Is that insight? What were they thinking about? What was the trajectory of their life? Which then brings me to, it's a little segue, but I think all of us, not to downplay your presence of greatness, but I think all of us are presence of greatness that are not understood.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know the path it took the person to get here to this moment to meet us. We don't know how they're making it through each day. We don't know, enough about them to discount their beauty, to discount their art for this planet.
Right.
And so I feel like recognizing that in you and people that stand out helps me to recognize it in other people that I just happen to meet and don't know anything about. And I'm thankful for that, to have that moment of remembering that everyone has their presence of greatness. It's just that I don't understand their art. I don't understand it, but I understand yours. That's why I can say it. Does that make sense?
I think so. And thank you for the kind words. I've always felt that way about you, I'm always in awe of people and who can do things that I know that I can't.
Mm.
And I know you as a very talented musician who writes beautiful, amazing songs.
Thank you.
And on top of that, you're like one of the kindest people I've ever met.
Oh.
And those two things don't always come together, right? Like you can sometimes meet a very talented person and like it's not just your opinion. It's universally recognized that they're a talent. But then you meet them personally, and maybe they're not the nicest people. And you start to think that has to be that way, right? That in order to be recognized as talented, you have to like lean into these character flaws as an individual. But you're evidence that that's not true.
Oh, thank you.
I'm also in awe of a lot of people. Like I've met like other writers, I've met actors who I don't like. I admire their talent. So have you ever heard a song and it gives you goosebumps?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like not a song that you hear on a radio, but like a Santa Monica performer or something like that, and they sing a song and you get the chills.
Yeah. And
to me, like that's like a sign that there's something spiritual about that talented person.
Right.
And we always think that when someone can cause you to have these feelings, these sensations, these emotions from their artwork, that they should be elevated to a place where everybody can appreciate that. And that's not always the case.
No.
Right? Like some of the best singers or performances that I've ever seen, if I could remember their names, nobody knows who they are.
Right.
And then the converse of that is true, where you see someone who seems to have all the success, all the fame, and all the fortune, and I'm not in awe of them because I feel like I know people who can do that way better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the world is sometimes. It's very fickle, right?
It is.
It feels like it's very unjust. But the people who love it, like you do, right, don't do it for the fame and for the fortune. And I think that sometimes that motivation takes away from the beauty of the art itself.
I think so too.
And it becomes a thing that feeds your soul. And if you don't have the opportunities to do it, you suffer for it.
Definitely.
So, yeah, thank you for your words. But I feel that same way about you.
Thank you. It reminds me of what we were talking about earlier, how we live in our heads. Mm-hmm. Like we're the only ones in our own heads. So our responsibility isn't out here. Our biggest responsibility is in here in our heads and our hearts and how we feel and how we think.
Absolutely.
And we have love between us right now. What did you say? Love is on the table?
Love's on the table. That's right.
Love is on the table. It's a sign I brought from home. I feel like, when I decided to call the podcast America Lost and Found, it's from a TV show that I did in 2004. Mm-hmm. And it aired on the West Coast for, I think, 22 weeks. And then I felt like I needed to hold on to that name, that domain name and the website. And I did, but didn't know what I would do with it. And I actually have been not wanting to do so much with missing people because I want my world to be more about what I've found in it, what I have left, what I want to work with what is here and what is possible. And so when the opportunity for the podcast came up, excuse me, I thought, what am I going to call it? And then I thought America Lost and Found, which sounds like it's going to be about missing people, which some of the episodes are. Mm-hmm. But it's really about what we have left after the no, after the big mountain we climbed up and we lost one of our yes people. They fell out of the bag. After, whatever happens, what is left that I can work with? Because I'm still here. I still have a purpose. I still have a reason. And I think that is the most important thing. It's not being this huge superstar, but mm-hmm. Are we sticking to what we came here to do? And when you're telling me about you used to read a lot, you used to like to write, that's what you came here to do. You knew as a small child, and I think a lot of times we do. Mm-hmm. Not every small child, but I knew, and you knew.
You knew you wanted to do music.
When I was 3, I knew. It's like somebody took a picture of that moment in time, and I was like, this is it. And that 3-year-old girl chases me. She yells at me. She's like, get on it. Do this thing. Wow. And so I guess I want to go back to what you were saying about, there's the person on the street corner who's playing a song that just moves you. Mm-hmm. You feel the chills. And since I've been sitting here with you, some of the words that you're saying, I'm getting chills from. And while you were talking about that, I was getting chills. because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about. And I think the way we get to the bigger places, if that is where we're supposed to be, it's only in modern society that people are huge
Right.
superstars, right?
Right.
Before that, we were in our towns. We were the town singer, or, we were playing the piano in the saloon and, singing without a mic. And
Van Gogh didn't sell a painting till he died.
right. And I believe it was his sister-in-law that did all the work to make it happen.
Yeah.
So it's really not about that. It's what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's in here. And are we honoring that and putting it out there?
Yeah, I agree.
And wow, that's such good stuff that you're made of.
Well, I try.
Yeah. And I just, your stoicism makes really good sense. Really good sense to me.
It works for me.
Yeah.
It's also sad to say it is a little bit distorted sometimes. Like there's a lot of content on the internet, and I call them dude bros, that try to take on these philosophies, but they do it in a very disingenuous way, where it's about how you could be dismissive of people or not care about people. And that's not really what Stoicism is about. The whole idea of Stoicism is about how to improve oneself as a human being. And, I think I try to think that way consciously every single day, right? Like we all have to go to work. We all have to go do something. But what can I do, or what can I do to help someone that improves myself as a person, and as a result of that can help improve society or the people around me, or sometimes the family, or, even your dog, like a little thing to make your dog happy, it improves their world. You're doing something for the bigger world.
Mm-hmm.
So Stoicism encourages that type of thinking consciously, where you set out to do that every single day. And in doing it in the things that you can control, and kind of not worrying about the things that you can't so much.